You're listening to the Scarf Bagara War, part of the Talksport fan network, and charity partners with Mentel, for county fans, by county fans.
Hello to my fellow Stockport County fans, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 12 of the Courtyard Club Call, which is brought to you by me, Jimmy Harmer, and him, Dan Culverwell. We're part of the Scarf Bagara War team. So we are recording this on Sunday, the 15th of September, and this Courtyard Club Call will be covering County's game, which was played yesterday away at Crawley Town, finishing in a 1-1 draw. So Dan, you went to the game, and you've already released a 9-minute vlog from your adventures. So thank you for that. So that's up on all the Scarf Bagara War socials and YouTube. So have a look at that. Give us a little flavour of what it was all about, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, well, just obviously an away day view of it. It was more because Harley, who normally comes along with us and has been coming to us with games since we played Solihull away in the National League, and we've not managed to he's been coming along with us, and but unfortunately this weekend he decided he wanted to spend time with his girlfriend.
Harley's your son, isn't he, Dan?
No, Harley is Toby's best mate.
Okay. Right.
So Toby's my son and Harley is his best mate. And like I say, we brought him along to a Solihull away where Paddy Madden scored that looping header, 1-0 win. And he's been coming along since. I bought him a season ticket, and my dad buys him a shirt every now and again as well. So yeah, he's comes along with us every time we go home and away. But unfortunately this week he decided his girlfriend was more important. So he lost out. So we thought Ethan was coming along. So he's never been to a county game before. So we thought it'd be just nice to see what he thought of it all. And yeah, it was a good day. We left here at 9:00, and easy travel as such down the A12 onto the M25 over the bridge, then onto the M23, and probably one of the most easiest football grounds I've found actually to find via car. You just come straight off the motorway, and it was just straight there.
Parking easy.
Yeah, I funny enough, I pulled up right in front of the car park for the football ground, asked the steward where's the best place to park, and he went, well, if you want to park for free, just go back to the roundabout and park in the estate on the other side of the roundabout, or pay me a £5 and you can park here. So I said, oh, thank you very much. I'll see you later. I'm going to park over where it's free. There's a pub 200 yards away from where I parked called the Full Moon. I think there's about 3 or 4 coaches of county fans that got dropped off there. So it was quite lively. Short little walk, 5-minute walk to the ground then. Yeah, everything was good in the ground. It's a non-league ground. Let's be absolutely honest about it. It is what it is.
Is it about 4,500, 5,000 capacity, something like that?
Yeah, and it was tidy, it was clean, it was typical things that the PA steward, you can't hear what whoever the PA announcer is because they don't have speakers in the away end. The food on offering, chips or pies. Pies were all right, not the normal pucker pies that you have to take out of a plastic bag before you eat it. So these were sort of like handcrafted artisan sort of pies, and I had a chicken balti one, which was really, really nice. There was beef brisket, pies and stuff like that. So they were, they were nice. I couldn't knock it. Left your lid on your bottle of pop, which is also a nice thing for all those fans that get fed up of having a drink. Lid evacuated because it's an offensive weapon.
Custom bag searches, Dan, or did you get away with that?
No bag searches. Nice as all the stewards, nice as friendly. Really, really laid back, nice atmosphere. No issues, no hassles. Everything. Come out the ground after the game. walking back to the car, talking with Crawley fans, and they, really, really nice. So it was, it was my first visit to Crawley after obviously the last two fixtures have been midweek ones. We definitely penciled this one in to make the effort and go into there. And quite would have obviously more happy if the result was a win, but when do we play Crawley and get anything apart from a draw?
Cool. Okay, well, let's kick this off then with the goals and the Charlie post-match interview. So, goal highlights. Thank you to John. Well, John Kieran's on it. He doesn't know that I've taken this, but he's on it, so I may as well say thank you to him. And then, obviously, the post-match interview with Charlie from Liam Richardson. Here we go.
Out to the left for Barry again. You can see instantly what he wants to do, and he's done it. Comes inside, onto his right. Collar helps it on. Barry, 1-0. The player of the month for August continues his goal-scoring vein of form, and he's given County the lead after just 5 minutes. A typical Barry goal. Will Collar involved in the build-up. County lead 1-0. Corey Adai in front of the fans who used to adore him. Facing Quitena. It's 1-1. He rolls it down the middle. It may have flicked off the studs of Corey Adai. But the home side have scored their first goal in well over 6 hours of football. It's come from the penalty spot. And it's Junior Quitena who's got the goal.
On the top line, the man marked Louis, which meant we had a spare player in our half of the pitch. We didn't look after the ball well enough to give us that control. And I said to the players at half time, that'll be if anything's going to be all I'm doing, that'll be all I'm doing. And that proved to be the case. We gave the ball away too easy in simple situations and didn't have control. And that ultimately over the course of 90 minutes at some point is going to cost you.
Yeah, so there we go. I think a pretty fair assessment from Dave, but let's jump into the lineups, Dan. Any surprises for you there, mate?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be gobsmacked if anybody got 11 out of 11 on Fan Hub for this week. Obviously, Adai, obviously Dave Challoner's backed him since the Mansfield game, and rightly so. I think he's made a mistake, but like I say, it's a mistake that's compounded by other mistakes before that as well. Obviously, I can't make my mind up if it's a back three, back five, back four, back six. But obviously, he's got Onyango on the right-hand side, Horsfell, Pye, and on the team sheet, he had Toure on the left, but he didn't play on the left. He actually played as a right wing back. Norwood and Camps in midfield. I was hoping we might see Bate back, but obviously not yet. I think the big surprise was obviously Teo Adamamo. I do apologise.
Just call him Teo, that's what I do.
Teo starting. On FOTMob, they've got him down as a left winger, but I think obviously he's playing left wing back more than anything. Left back, left wing back. Collar and Barry with Wootton up front. As your point of the Christmas tree. And yeah, it was, like I say, a little bit different because, like I say, he's put Toure as a right wing back. I thought he did actually really, really well as a right wing back. Looked really, really solid. Didn't look out of place, so I can't fault him at all. Teo, I thought, considering the same again, his debut as well, looked really, really good. Really good. If that's, like I say, his first outing for us, he's only going to get better as well and going to get more used to the other players and where they run and partnerships and linking up. And I thought he was excellent. And same with Onyango as well, Tyler. Obviously, we got from Everton. I thought that was probably one of his best games in a county shirt. Same again, the more he plays, the better he looks as well.
That's interesting. I think I'm going to disagree with you, but we'll talk about that later in the pod. Super strong bench. So Fev's Tanto, Diamond, and Bailey as sort of more attacking subs. And then we obviously had Connolly as the only defender on the bench. And then, Hinchliffe and Powell, who didn't end up coming on, but the other 5 did at some point or other in the game. So, moving into the first half. So looking at some stats from the first half, it was an odd one because they had, I was saying to Chloe whilst we were watching the game that I don't think I've seen us concede so much ball possession in a first half than we did there. I mean, according to FOTMob, 69 to them, 31 to us. But despite their 69%, they could only muster 3 goals with an XG of 0.11 between them. I think the shocking stat, for me, obviously we had 4 shots and 2 on target. I think the shocking one for me is we only had 87 accurate passes.
Yeah,
in the 45 minutes. So 70% of our passes were accurate compared to 84% of those. And I can imagine that Dave was tearing his hair out at half time, just saying, come on, guys, let's get some control on this, get the ball under control. And Louis Barry has done what Louis Barry does. He gets us in front. So 4 out of the 5 league games that we played this season, Louis Barry has opened the scoring for us. And that should really be the pedestal to move on from, but didn't quite work out, did it, Dan?
No, and same again. That first half, I thought we had enough to actually be 2-0 up in that game. To be honest, I know we talked about Russ and Waggy talked about it when Waggy was there between Andy and not dropping out of his signal. But we talked about how much possession Crawley have. As a team, we knew that they're going to have a lot of the ball. That isn't a problem. We went to Notts County away at the end of last season, and they had 65% of the possession, Notts County, and we still won 5-2. So, giving away the possession is not the biggest issue in the world. Like you say, the number of passes. I can't remember a county team under Dave Challoner having so little passes of the ball, and like you say, that pass accuracy has to be better than that. I think, and I think that little clip that you just did with Dave Challoner saying about, giving the ball away. And I think that just highlights sort of that, and the difference between sort of going from 70 to 85% is the difference of us actually really sort of knuckling down and getting that sort of like over the line and being a bit more clinical with it as well.
FOTMob has got another stat for long balls as well, and this one surprises me. So Crawley had 11 accurate long balls, and we had 9. What it's not giving me is inaccurate. Oh no, inaccurate long ball. Okay, so 38% on each. So there's a lot of long balls going on, and that's where I was just going to pick you up ever so slightly, maybe on Taylor Onyango. I thought he played well defensively, but I think in possession, I don't think he's got the same sort of quality as Kyle Noyle does when he plays as a right-sided centre-back. So if you're going to play that's 3 at the back with Pye, Horsfall and Onyango, we know what Pye can do, and he was majestic once again in that game. Horsfall, we know what he can do, but I just think Onyango, down that right-hand side, he didn't offer enough as a support going forward, which then meant that Toure had to defend a little bit deeper than maybe we would have wanted him to. I just think the team felt a little bit lopsided because of it.
Yeah, well, it's quite funny you use that word lopsided, because that's what the Crawley manager described our formation with. The wing backs are very lopsided, and which chucks them out a little bit as well, that they weren't expecting that from us. I don't know. I just like when I always do it with tall players when they run with the ball. I just always see Kevin Francis when he used to run with the ball and run past people, and I look at Onyango, and there was times in that game where he just sort of glided past people with the ball at his feet.
I think he's quite Carlton Palmer-esque when you see how he carries the ball, and he got himself forward really well at one point in the first half, I want to say. did he get a shot off in the end? But he found himself in their penalty area. That's for sure.
But it's just, like you say, it's a hard one, because if you want to switch play, and you're looking, which you are looking to do, because you're looking then to switch it to Louis Barry on the left-hand side, then, like you say, you need somebody on that right side that can pick him out. If, like you say, and we know Carl can do that. So to get Louis Barry back in a bit more, you need people on the right-hand side of that pitch that can switch the ball across it and get that accurate long ball to him to get him in play. Otherwise, we try and play it across the middle of the pitch, and by the time it comes over to the left-hand side, then they've double marked Louis out the game.
I did feel that we were light in the centre of midfield in that first half. And I thought Norwood and Camp struggled really to impose themselves on the game. And Crawley were passing the ball around nicely in triangles. Didn't look particularly dangerous, but they certainly made us work hard. Okay, so let's just talk about the Louis Barry goal. So a very typical, like if you're going to sort of package up a Louis Barry goal, that's probably the sort of thing that you're thinking of. He's coming in from that left-hand side, just keeps on running, basically. Lovely touch, maybe dummy from Will Coll. I'm not quite sure if he touched it or not, but it was still an important goal involvement anyway, which then allowed Barry to have some space and smack it past the keeper. He just keeps on popping up, doesn't he, with these goals?
Yeah, I mean, like I say, textbook Louis Barry. The Will Collar bit, I don't know if I thought Will Collar got a little touch to it and sort of like just laid it back into him. Looking at the highlights, he looks like he stepped over it, but it just throws their defender and their goalkeeper off, because, like you say, Will Collar's just as capable of picking that ball up and turning and having a shot himself at that point. And it's just, like I say, he's just worked a treat. And like I say, Barry's knocked it back across the keeper. And at that point, like you say, we were starting sort of dominating a little bit. You know, we looked good. We started off, Carl Wootton had a cracking header that just sort of looped over the crossbar. And yeah, it looked like at that point this was going to be 2-3-0 easy.
I can't remember any of the chances in that first half, if I'm honest. I didn't make it, so I tend to make little notes as to what we've done. And all I've got is Louis Barry's goal and a note saying that the first 30 minutes were too rushed with no control. So I've not watched all the highlights either, so I can't really remember.
No, I mean, Wootton had, I say, sort of the first sort of real, sort of we saw the glimpses of Teo was in that first sort of few minutes where he's managed just to get to the byline and keep it in, loop it up, and then Wootton's come and got his head to it and just headed it over. It's you know, like I say, I think we had chances in that first half, but like I say, we just didn't make the guy. For me, I just don't remember the goalkeeper making any sort of worldy saves in that first half.
Yeah, and in fairness, looking at FOTMOB, the four chances that we had, it was 4 minutes Carl Wootton, you've spoken about that already, that looping header that went over the bar, 6 minutes Louis Barry, and then we had to wait another, till 32 minutes when Callum Camps came forward and skewed his shot well wide. An XG of 0.02, that was never going in. And then 41 minutes, Louis Barry had another chance, which was actually saved.
And it was a good save as well. He's saying again, it was a good save from the goalkeeper for that one that put it out for a corner.
Cool. So let's move into the second half then. So stats for this half a little bit more even on the ball possession, 56 to them, 44 to us. Their XG went up to 1.2 and ours was at 0.8. They had 7 shots, 3 on target. We had 7 with 2 on target. And the passes were a little bit more even. 199 to them, 149 to us, and our accuracy went up from 70% to 81%, and theirs went down. So it looks like we got ourselves a bit more of a foothold in the game. Did you feel that they could score? Because when I was thinking, yeah, they're doing okay, but this is a team that hadn't scored in 6 hours. I don't think so.
I just thought it actually got a bit ragged in the second half. It got a bit end to end and not less control over it. So it was more of like a, you have a chance, we'll have a chance, you have a chance, we'll have a chance, and it was very much end to end. The Crawley definitely steps it up, I thought, in the second half. And what was more impressive with Crawley was actually the off the ball running. A lot of fake runs, so they'll, you'd have midfield players running beyond the front players coming back into midfield. The centre midfield would go out onto the left wing. The left back would go into centre midfield, and it was very, very fluid the way that they were playing. They would make dummy runs, so they would run towards the halfway line, say the attacker, knowing that the ball was going to get played over his head, and he would turn and then quickly run on there. And like I say, Camps and Norwood, I think it was a really hard job for them to do you stay with the runner? Do you stay with the marker? Because they would say they would just pass it, but they would continue their run. And it was, a lot of people will sort of smirk at Crawley, but I think they will surprise a lot of teams this season, and they will get points, especially home and away, from a lot of teams where people might have actually, they will be your coupon buster. They'll knack your accumulator up for the weekend. So if you put Crawley game into your bet, they're no doubt they're going to knock it up for you. So, I'm
sorry.
That's all right.
Do you think that our changes maybe were a little? Well, they were reactionary because he made 3 substitutions straight after they scored. But I was certainly shouting at the telly at sort of on 60 minutes, thinking we need another midfielder in there.
Yeah, them subs were
3 in midfield. Yeah,
them subs were going to happen anyway, because literally Dave Challoner, literally 3 minutes before they got the penalty, he'd called back Fevier and Tanto from doing their warm-ups. They were doing their literally warm-ups in front of me. And like I say, a couple of minutes before the penalty was scored, was awarded, that they were called back by Dave. He called them back to get kitted up. And like I say, the board was ready to go up when the penalty was awarded. So them substitutions, I don't know if all 3 were coming on, but Tanto and Febs were definitely coming on at that point.
So I mean, their subs definitely changed the game for me. They took Williams off, who was on a booking, and I think he should probably have been sent off, to be honest. Yeah. So he was in the centre midfield. They took him off, and then another couple of players, Swan and Hepburn Murphy, who played okay, brought on Adeyemo, Ibrahim, and Quitierna, who was the guy that scored won.
Was awarded
the penalty and then scored the penalty. What was your view in the ground of that penalty?
Well, like I say, just before the penalty, we obviously had a chance with Teo, coming down, was fed in, and same again, he went down. It was a little bit soft, but there was contact there. It felt that he was sort of pushed in the back a bit. Weren't going to be, we appeal for it, but at the end of the day, if we get it, we're lucky. If we don't, the end of the world. And then for the ref to give what I thought was just as soft, really. All you could see was obviously sort of like shoulder to shoulder with Wootton, and then Wootton getting a touch on the ball, and then him giving a penalty.
So that was your view in the ground, yeah?
Yeah, it looked, like I say, it looked as, if you give the first one, then you could argue then he's going to give one to them for the similar sort of thing. But same again, he didn't give, and there was incidents in the game where similar sort of things, and he's not given the referee's not given that as a free kick during the play. And the argument will always be, well, you'd give it if it was not in the penalty area, which is what we normally say for a referee. Well, you'd have given that as a free kick anywhere in the outfield, so why aren't you giving it a penalty? It's the same foul. where he went the opposite way. He not giving it things like that on the outfield, and it was going on all game. But for them, he gave a penalty for. So, say a little bit like I think Dave said in his interview, just the consistency over the game, sort of for me led to making the decision that the ref had a bit of a clanger, to be honest, not just on that one decision.
I think certainly from the referee's view, I thought it looked like it could potentially have been a penalty. But when you look at the camera angle from behind the goal, their player is running sort of shoulder to shoulder with Wootton, and Wooten's sort of holding his ground. And then their player just like throws his left leg at Wootton and then falls over. And then Wootton sort of managed to jab the ball away in the same sort of movement. But that's what got us. It was that sort of him throwing his leg out. Was it Michael Owen in one of the World Cups? He sort of did something similar to win a penalty for us. Was it against Argentina? It might have been against Argentina. I can't remember now. But similar sort of thing. So clever from the striker. And not a lot that Wootton could have done about it. Same guy steps up, takes the penalty, pretty much down the middle, just to the side, just to the left-hand side of Corey, and he dived the wrong way, so 1-1. We then make 3 substitutions, so we bring Fevs on, so 69, Alafi, and Diamond, and I'm thinking that is 3 good subs to bring on. We got 21, maybe 25 minutes with injury time. How do you feel let's talk about Connolly as well, because he came on 72. How do you think the 4 subs ended up doing? Do you think they did enough?
It's a bit hard because when you bring them 3 players on, especially obviously you're changing the front 3. So you got Tanto as the point, and you got start off with you had Fevs on the right hand side, Diamond on the left. Fevs was getting a lot of the ball to start off with, so that means that Jack Diamond isn't going to get the ball. He's not going to have any influence because you're putting the ball always towards the right-hand side. So he's out the game. They swapped over sides, but then what was happening, the ball was then still coming to Fevs on the left-hand side. And Jack Diamond, unfortunately, no fault of his own, really didn't have any influence at all. Would you have been better to put somebody up front with Tanto at that point if you're going to completely overload one side of the pitch, or put that extra man in the centre midfield, or do something a little bit different? So it's a little bit harsh on Jack Diamond because I don't think he had really sort of the opportunity to show what we know he can do to a certain extent because he just didn't get the ball. Fevs, I thought, looked promising. A few times he ran down blind alleys, but there was opportunities for him to get, when he's on the ball, and he's one of them players. They put 3 players around him, and he still manages to sort of turn his way out of trouble and come out of leaving 3 players behind him with the ball. And Tanto looked.
I just wonder why when they do put 3 players on him, we then haven't got 2 spare players. Because we couldn't quite find that ball. So the point at which he is crowded out, we should have been able to move it across. Special mention, I think, actually, for Alafi. When he came on, I thought he played excellently. Fotmob gave him a 6, which I think is a travesty. I think he held the ball up really, really well. He was a right nuisance, strong, powerful running. Could have scored a goal. He tried to stick it through the keeper's legs, and the keeper just managed to get a heel and went out for a corner. I thought he was a real handful and very unlucky not to score. Obviously, you've got Connolly as well, so he came on 72. He played 18 minutes. First game back since coming back from a pretty nasty ankle injury sustained in Pinatar. And then Bailey came on with 90 minutes. Well, what does Bailey have to do to get more than 1 or 2 minutes at the end of a game? Because I thought if he'd come on so he could have occupied maybe the left-hand side of midfield with Norwood and Camps. I think we could maybe have had just that little bit more control and maybe moved to a 4-3-3 and just made them think a bit more. I think they're a little bit defensive minded, certainly from the starting lineup.
It's one of them ones. It's hard, because you don't want to lose the game from that point. And going a bit too silly and a bit gung ho. And like I say, it got a little bit they still had a threat about them, Crawley. And they were looking to win the game as well. So, like I say, it was just a little. I just felt, like I say, Diamond and Fevs on both either side of the pitch. Well, one of them is only going to get the ball, and like I say, that was Fevs. Let's say Tanto for me. I love it when the ball comes into Tanto and he sort of turns the defender and rolls him and off he goes, and he's got the power and strength now. His chance, I just wish he'd give the goalkeeper the eyes. Look across his shoulder, look like he was going to square it to someone and then just put it through his legs. But he sort of seemed to be looking at the goalkeeper when he tried to do that. So obviously the goalkeeper knows that he's going to have a pot at him. I think if he gives him the eyes, I think that goes through the goalkeeper's legs and it's 2-1.
Yeah, so game finishes 1-1. So FOTMOB ratings, they give Ethan Pye the man of the match, 8.1. And next player behind him, Ada Ramola and Camps on 7.8, Barry on 7.6, and then they reckon our worst player was Will Collar, so a 6.1 for Will. What do you think of the man of the match?
Yeah, the same again. Camps had that obviously opportunity where he's hit the post, where he's run onto the ball. Norwood's had the same sort of similar opportunity as well in the game. I thought Torre was outstanding. I don't think he made anything wrong. And considering he's playing on the right-hand side, I thought he was really, really good.
And he used his right foot quite a few times as well, Dan, which I just thought he was going to be one of these just sticking everything through with his left, but I think he probably touched the ball more with his right than his left in that game.
Yeah, and I thought he was outstanding, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, like I say, out of them sort of Pie, yeah, or Teo, I would have given that to. I thought Watanabe was having a good game as well. I think the penalty was really, really harsh on him. I thought he was winning quite a lot of the balls as well. So yeah, it's like I say, it's a weird game. Like I say, stat wise, possession wise, we understand, but you look at the sort of stats and the number of passes and everything that's created and things like that. And it's very similar to the shots on target to the Blackpool game. When the fine margins are, we win that game 3-0 and we draw this one 1-1. But I think obviously what, as Dave's mentioned, is the passing completion and giving the ball away quite cheaply. And obviously, if we had he'll have the stats of the areas of the pitch where that's happened as well. And I don't think that's hurt us, as in us conceding the goal. I think that's what hurt us by not actually making 1-0 into 2-0. And I think that's the difference. We go 2-0 up in that game, and I don't think we look back and we win it. I think it's very hard to defend a 1-0 lead in this division nowadays, because teams will just come at you to try and get that goal back.
Yeah, so we've already touched on the ref. I thought he had an amazing first half, if I'm honest. I thought it was really fair. He got the bookings right. He let the play go when he needed to. He brought it back when he needed to. And then he had an absolute mare in the second half. Not just the penalty, but I just think he completely lost his head and he started making really strange decisions.
Yeah, I think I sort of flagged it up on our WhatsApp chat when it was announced. He's a bit of a weird one because last season he refereed a lot of games in the Championship, and this season I think he's done 2 games, one in the National League and one in the Carabao Cup.
That's a red flag, isn't it?
So that was like, he's rather coming back from fitness or an injury, or that confidence is completely shot. And like you say, first half, not too bad at all. Obviously, there's going to be decisions that you don't agree with. But in the second half, I think, like you say, he just consistently was getting worse and worse with his decision-making. And like I say, there's just no rhyme or reason. Even to the end of the game where added time, they're given 3 minutes added time, the referee. And in that second half, you had the penalty decision and all that lot probably took 2.5 minutes. You had Fraser Horsfall went down with a bang to his head, which should have been a penalty as well. And the Crawley fans that I spoke to were coming out were all saying that should have been a Stonewall penalty as well, when Fraser Horsfall was pushed in the back into one of our players and got a crack in the head. And that was stopped for about 4 minutes. And even all the teams, both sets of players came over and got a drink to the benches and stuff. And then you had, obviously, the penalties, the substitutions in the game. And I think, and he comes up with 3 minutes, and that was just the icing on the cake for his performance, I think.
Yeah, okay, cool. So moving on to the league table, we are 4th in the league, top of the table. Do I have to say this name?
No.
Top
we don't. Let's not talk
with team that begin with W and end in Ham. So they're top with 13. Charlton behind them on 13. Huddersfield on 12, and then us on 11. So Charlton have played 6. W, Ham, and Huddersfield and us have played 5. Birmingham are playing on tomorrow night, Monday night, against Wrexham. I've said the name. Damn. Sorry. Anyway, so yeah, a decent place to be. I think we've had looking at how the league table is sort of bearing out a little bit now, I think we've had quite an easy-ish start to the season. So we'll see how we've done after 10 games. As you said last week, Dan, Dave takes it in 10 game chunks. But yeah, I'm more than happy to be City in 4th place with 11 points. That's more than an average of 2 points per game. So we would take that at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Anything more you want to say on that game, Dan?
No, I mean, a lot of people will get a bit upset about it and stuff like that and think it's a game we should win. Crawley will surprise a lot of teams this year. A point away from home is not the end of the world, but you have to then go and back that up with next Saturday by beating Leyton Orient. So it's that'll be the message. It's a good result as long as we can go and win the next game.
Yeah, and that does lead me nicely into that. So we do have 2 home games coming up next. So Tuesday is Everton under-21s in the BSM Trophy, and then that big game against Leyton Orient on Saturday at home. Are you coming up for that one, Dan?
Yeah, I'll be up for that game. So come and watch you guys on the pitch at half-time.
Good point. Yeah, if anyone wants to know. So that's relating to us doing, so me, Andy, Jamie and Ian, we're doing a check presentation to Mentel at halftime on the pitch at the Leyton Orient game. So if anyone sees us, just come up to us, say hello, and we'll be more than happy to have a chat with you guys. That's about it. As always, massive thanks to our viewers and listeners. Remember, if you do enjoy what we do, please like and subscribe on whatever platform you use to consume our content, and don't forget the Patreon membership. You get ad-free content, you get entry into a monthly prize draw, and you get access to special guest interviews. So Sam Sheridan, Will Collar and Matty Warburton are the first 3, but we've got loads more in the pipeline. Russ has got his little black book waiting, and hopefully we should get some more players on in the very near future. So until next time, goodbye and thank you.